This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
A man has been detained for questioning just miles from the Mexican border in the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. I'm Jeff McKay.
Time is running out for Congress to agree on a funding bill for the Department of Homeland Security. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons says the officers are facing unprecedented threats.
We are only getting started.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
An affidavit shows the FBI obtained a search warrant to seize hundreds of boxes of ballots from election officials in Fulton County, Georgia. I'm Ed Donahue.
It's a Jobs Wednesday. As we get the delayed January jobs report this morning, it could move the markets. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
A longtime senator running for re-election.
I'm running.
I'm Clayton Neville.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Authorities detain a man for questioning Tuesday night in the investigation into Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. America in the Morning's Jeff McKay has the latest on the investigation.
The development comes hours after the FBI released images of a masked and armed person seen on the front door camera at the Tucson, Arizona home of NBC Today show host Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mother. The images show an unidentified person wearing a mask, gloves, sneakers, and a backpack. On Monday afternoon, Fox News reported that the FBI's elite hostage rescue unit was dispatched to Arizona, and that news was followed by TMZ reporting that there was activity in the Bitcoin account listed in the first ransom notes sent to the Guthrie family. On Tuesday evening, police pulled over a car in the small town of Rio Rico, just 13 miles from the U.S.-Mexico border in Arizona. Police are calling the man taken into custody a person of interest. The individual does not appear to be a member of the Guthrie family, and he is not being called a suspect at this time. FBI Director Kash Patel credited the footage as a breakthrough in the case, coming 10 days into a frantic search for Nancy Guthrie, who still remains missing. I'm Jeff McKay.
With the deadline to fund the Department of Homeland Security set for Thursday, Congress is under pressure to reach a compromise on reforms for ICE's immigration enforcement. Correspondent John Stolnis has the latest from Washington.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer says they're running out of time to come up with a compromise funding bill that would avoid a shutdown of DHS.
Clock is ticking for Republicans to negotiate seriously with Democrats to rein in ICE and end the violence.
Democrats sent Republican leaders legislative text outlining specific reforms they are demanding be put in place with regard to ICE agents and tactics in the field.
We got the Republican response last night, but it included neither details nor legislative text. The initial Republican response is incomplete and insufficient. It fails to address America's concerns about ICE's lawless conduct.
Republican Senate Leader John Thune said the White House is running point on a response to the Democrats' plan, calling it a work in progress.
The DHS bill, as you know, represents not only Border Patrol and ICE, but also FEMA and the Coast Guard and TSA, cybersecurity, a whole bunch of things that are really important to the American people. And these federal employees at TSA and other agencies shouldn't be held hostage.
Any deal crafted in the Senate would have to be agreed to in the House as well, a scenario that appears impossible to wrap up by midnight Thursday.
As you all will recall, we made it very clear at the outset that we thought the amount of time they allocated toward this wasn't nearly going to be sufficient, and clearly it's not. But I do think that based upon the progress that's being made toward getting to a result and a conclusion, we ought to allow some additional time in order to make that happen.
Senate Republicans are reportedly working on a continuing resolution that would buy more time. However, it's believed most Democrats would be against that idea. With the House set to go on recess next week, a shutdown of the department could stretch into the final week of February. John Stolnis, Washington.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. Save on personalized comfort during Sleep Number's President's Day sale. Their best deals are on now, limited time, only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com. When we return on America in the Morning, congressmen go berserk at a hearing focused on immigration and customs enforcement. When America in the Morning returns after these messages. America in the Morning continues. Rain and snow for areas in the west. With the forecast, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
The latest storm to reach the western states has already delivered some rain and high-elevation snow for much of California on Tuesday. And overall, this storm will be large enough that many parts of the state will end up with more of the same today. The most snow is expected to fall through California's Sierra Nevada range, and the snow will be measured in feet where it stays colder and the snow comes down heavily for the longest time. In fact, snow levels will generally be on the decline, with at least a mix of rain and snow reaching as far inland as far eastern Wyoming. Some snow showers may extend across the Idaho border into Montana through the day, with even southeastern Oregon getting in on a rain-snow mix. The same holds true for western Colorado, but in far southern California, much of the precipitation may stay confined to areas near the coast. The cold front pushes into the southeast today, and with it comes some areas of steady rain, although much of this has some trouble making it to the Gulf Coast, where precipitation should be more showery instead. The advancing front should bring some rain right through the Carolinas, though, at least for a time. There may be some flurries over parts of Michigan, but the Great Lakes and Midwest generally look dry today. The same cannot be said for the Northeast today, where the second part of the storm that brought snow to much of the region yesterday brings in round 2 today, while the longest duration of snow should stay over Maine today. At least occasional snow should favor northern New York and into parts of western New York near the southern shores of Lake Ontario. 1 to 3 inches of total snow can be expected for many, with higher amounts perhaps reaching 3 to 6 inches in northern New York and getting into much of Maine today. In Las Vegas, it's looking cloudy today with a shower around, the high reaching 67. For Middletown, New York, expect a breezy day with some sun instead and a high reaching 39. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. There was a heated House hearing on Capitol Hill where ICE's chief defended his officers amid outrage over their actions in Minnesota. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports this included several instances where the committee chairman nearly lost control of the hearing.
A religious man?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, how do you think Judgment Day will work for you with so much blood on your hands?
I'm not going to entertain that question.
Oh, okay, of course not. Do you think you're going to hell, Mr. Lyons?
I'm not going to entertain.
Of course not. How many government...
The gentlelady will suspend. The gentlelady will suspend.
Immigrations and Customs Enforcement's chief is defending how his agency's officers are carrying out President Trump's deportation agenda.
The men and women of ICE have been empowered to do exactly what they're trained to do: arrest and remove illegal aliens and criminals from our communities. We are enhancing public safety, securing our national security, and finally restoring integrity to the immigration system that had been allowed to collapse.
Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons says the officers are facing unprecedented threats.
But let me send a message to anyone who thinks they can intimidate us. You will fail.
Appearing before a House panel,
we are only getting started.
Lyons was one of 3 agency chiefs testifying after the shooting deaths of 2 Americans by federal agents in Minneapolis sparked outrage. New York Democrat Tim Kennedy asked Lyons if he'll commit to making his officers take off masks.
No.
Well, that's a sad response. Your answer is completely unacceptable. People who are proud of what they do aren't hiding their identity.
Lyons earlier complained about references to ICE officers like those in Nazi Germany. Democrat Dan Goldman made a suggestion.
People are simply making valid observations about your tactics, which are un-American and outright fascist. So I have a simple suggestion. If you don't want to be called a fascist regime or secret police, then stop acting like one.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
New details emerge of ballot checks in Georgia. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports the investigation that led to an FBI search warrant began with a referral from a Trump 2020 campaign lawyer when they lost a number of lawsuits challenging the election.
An affidavit shows the FBI obtained a search warrant to seize hundreds of boxes of ballots from election officials in Fulton County, Georgia, as part of a criminal investigation into possible deficiencies or defects in the vote count in the 2020 election. President Trump lost to Joe Biden in Georgia in 2020. He's long claimed the election was stolen. Fulton County Commissioner Rob Pitts says the search warrant shows the accusations are
recycle rumors, lies, untruths, and unproven conspiracy theories.
Among the deficiencies or defects investigators are looking at is Fulton County's admission it does not have scanned images of all the ballots counted.
They've been examined, they've been re-examined, they've been audited, there have been hand counts under microscope, and in every instance, we come up clean.
After the search, agents drove off with trucks loaded with hundreds of cartons of election materials. I'm Ed Donahue.
When we return on America in the Morning, the Dow hits a new record high, and Hasbro CEO Chris Cox is not just toying around after these messages. A check of Wednesday business with CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a mixed day yesterday for the major averages, but the Dow opens this morning at a new record high. While some investors are bracing for the delayed January jobs report, investors worry because a number of data points have been released over the past 2 weeks that show a weakening job market.
What happens with the jobs data will be telling because the latest job data is showing some softening. We kind of want to see stability in that number, and that will impact what the Fed does.
That's Defiance ETF's Sylvia Jablonski on CNBC. EY Parthenon's Gregory Dacko tells CNBC if people aren't working, they're not spending. And the U.S. is a consumer economy with consumer spending making up about 2/3 of U.S. economic growth.
I am paying very close attention to what's happening on the labor market, where we're seeing a deep freeze, which will feed into income and constrain consumers for the rest of the year.
What happened to Christmas? Retail sales numbers came in flat from November to December. December was worse than expected.
Retail sales, these are December numbers. Headline, expected up 0.4, comes in light. Zero goose egg, unchanged. So not good news on retail sales.
CNBC's Rick Santelli. Boeing delivered 46 jets last month, marking the third highest number for any January in Boeing's history. And more.
Company logged 103 net new orders in January. That's the best January for orders since 2012. Boeing delivered 46 aircraft last month. 37 of those were 737 MAXs. Order backlog now sits at 6,196 aircraft.
That's CNBC's Carl Quintanilla. Toy maker Hasbro shares popped on good quarterly results and a big stock buyback. Here's CEO Chris Cox on CNBC.
In my job, I'm a bit of a kid in the candy store. I'm really looking forward to the K-pop Demon Hunters product hitting shelves over the coming months. I think Harry Potter is going to be huge. You'll start to see that on January 1st of 2027. I think we have an entertainment slate that's second to none, punctuated by the Walt Disney Company and 4 blockbuster movies: Toy Story 5, Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu, a new Spider-Man film, and at the end of the year, we're going to end on an exclamation point with Marvel's The Avengers Doomsday.
The Trump tariffs cost the average American household about $1,000 in 2025, according to the Nonpartisan Tax Foundation, which calls it a tax. The data show the average household will pay $1,300 this year extra because of the tariffs. On today's watch list, we get that January jobs report this morning. Earnings are coming from Hilton and McDonald's.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. A 2,300-mile walk, and it all began with the first step when America in the Morning returns after these messages. A longtime Republican senator announced she's running for re-election, correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
While she was unwrapping a pair of tennis shoes from a shoebox in a video posted on social media, Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine had an announcement.
This is perfect for 2026 because I'm running.
The announcement by the 73-year-old was expected. Collins was first elected to the Senate back in 1996 and is running for a 6th term. She chairs the Senate Appropriations Committee and is considered among the most independent-minded in the GOP. In the Democratic primary in Maine, Governor Janet Mills is running against newcomer Graham Plattner, a veteran and oyster farmer. The Maine Senate race could be key in determining control of the Senate as Republicans hang on to a slim majority on Capitol Hill. I'm Clayton Neville.
A group of monks have finally reached the nation's capital after walking nearly 2,300 miles on a quest for peace. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer has their story.
People from across the country have traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet the monks who've walked for 15 weeks to reach the nation's capital. Foy Young from Green Bay, Wisconsin, says she came to see the monks to help deal with tremendous grief.
I have gone through so much in my life. I have lost 5 siblings, my own son, and my parents. And I'm here to hope that I will learn some technique so that I can apply that to myself. When I follow them and learn from them, it helped me heal each day.
Marley Light from Minneapolis, Minnesota, says she started following the monks' messages to cope with the immigration crackdown in Minneapolis.
People say that I've been watching, they say you get so emotional, and that's what I would say.
I'm Lisa Dwyer.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, February 11th, 2026 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour, a person of interest in custody in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. 10 dead in Canada at 2 separate shootings, including one at a school, and a winner declared in a New Jersey congressional primary race.
Congress charging forward on the Epstein files.
They acknowledge their mistake.
I'm Clayton Neville.
President Trump picks a new fight with Canada over a new bridge that's just weeks from opening. I'm Richard Johnson.
No child support, no passport. Jennifer King, Washington.
New med scanners could outperform Star Trek. I'm the new old tech guy, Chuck Baum.
Did Kid Rock lip sync during the alternative Super Bowl halftime show? I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. You're with America in the Morning, and more snow forecast for the Northeast. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
A storm that continues to track out of southern Canada and into New England has brought a round of snow from upstate New York into a large portion of New England since Tuesday. As this first part of the storm exits into the Atlantic early today, a piece of energy lags behind and becomes more organized toward the border with Canada, and that means another dose of snow today, at least for the interior Northeast. There could still be snow for much of the day over eastern and northern Maine, but outside of that area, the most prevalent snow should extend from northern New York toward the Buffalo area. Overall, looking back to yesterday, storm total snow through today should be a general 1 to 3 inches from the Connecticut-Massachusetts state line westward into upstate New York and north and east right through New England, with higher amounts perhaps approaching half a foot from northern New York into all but northern and southern Maine, as well as the Green Mountains of Vermont. On the other side of the continental U.S., a storm continues to push onshore in California with even more widespread steady rain and intermittent showers along just about all of the coastline, with mountain snow through northern California and especially into the Sierra Nevada, where the snow may be measured in feet. As that storm advances, the moisture rushing out ahead of it carries the risk for precipitation well into the west, with some snow showers as far to the north as southwestern Montana, and at least a mix of rain and snow reaching eastern Wyoming as showers of rain and mountain snow reach southern Utah and western Colorado. Elsewhere, the tail end of yesterday's northeast storm reaches the southeast with rain for interior sections that tends to fall apart to just showers at that as it approaches the Gulf Coast. However, the plains looks dry today with a bit of snow possible over parts of the Great Lakes. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The latest on the disappearance of NBC News Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mother, Nancy Guthrie, hours after a video was released by the FBI showing an armed and masked individual at the home of Nancy Guthrie prior to her being taken from her Tucson residence. TMZ reported that there was activity in the Bitcoin account listed in the first ransom note sent to the Guthrie family. Right after that, Fox News reported that the FBI's elite hostage rescue unit was dispatched to Arizona, and a few hours later, authorities detained an unidentified individual they deemed a person of interest in the Guthrie disappearance. SWAT vehicles were seen leaving the Pima County Sheriff's Office prior to that person being detained. It was not immediately clear whether the person detained for questioning was that individual seen in the doorbell camera images released by the FBI or why they were detained. The Pima County Sheriff's Department is expected to release more details later today. Shifting gears, Congress continues to press the Trump administration on the Epstein files, correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
The late convicted sex offender and disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein has been linked to billionaires and former presidents, including Bill Clinton. Some connections to Epstein and convicted accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell are more public than others, though. That's where Congressman Republican Thomas Massie and Democrat Ro Khanna come in.
We spent about 2 hours there.
The two went to the DOJ to review recently released files.
And we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massie and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake.
Khanna named the 6 men while speaking on the House floor.
Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikaladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner, who was labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI.
He said that he questions,
why did it take Thomas Massie and me going to the Justice Department to get these 6 men's identities to become public? And if we found 6 men that they were hiding in 2 hours, imagine how many men they are covering up for in those 3 million files.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche insists the DOJ is not hiding anything. He said that redactions were required under the law to protect victims' personal information and certain identifying details, but didn't expand on why redactions were only removed after members of Congress complained about it. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick gave testimony at a Senate Appropriations Subcommittee hearing where he was asked about his history with Epstein.
Barely had anything to do with that person.
He was asked about a specific trip.
Did you, in fact, make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children. And we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children.
The investigation into the Epstein files continues with former President Clinton and former First Lady Hillary Clinton set to be deposed later this month. And this week, Committee Chairman James Comer called the deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell very disturbing after she pleaded the Fifth and didn't answer any questions. I'm Clayton Neville.
There are 2 routes between Detroit and Windsor, Ontario, a tunnel under the Detroit River and the Ambassador Bridge. A third crossing is just weeks from opening, or maybe not, according to President Trump. Details from correspondent Rich Johnson.
This is just another example of President Trump putting America's interests first.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defending the president's early morning social media post in which he threatens to stop the opening of the Gordie Howe Bridge, a new bridge connecting the U.S. and Canada. Despite a deal signed years ago and endorsed by Trump during his first term, Leavitt says her boss found plenty of objections.
The fact that Canada will control what crosses the Gordie Howe Bridge and owns the land on both sides is unacceptable to the president. It's also unacceptable that more of this bridge isn't being built with more American-made materials.
Trump actually posted that the bridge contained no American steel, which is not true. Also, Canada has fully financed the more than $4.5 billion bridge construction under a deal in which Michigan will collect some toll revenue after Canada recoups the construction cost. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says he explained this to Trump in a Tuesday phone call. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is trying to stay diplomatic for the moment.
I don't want to put too much onto those conversations until I speak directly with the president.
One of her predecessors is not.
It's just foolish and ridiculous for Mr. Trump to try to hold it up. It's very sad. I'm sorry that your people have to put up with this nonsense.
Former Michigan governor and former U.S. ambassador to Canada, James Blanchard, speaking to the CBC. So why did the president put this issue in place seemingly out of nowhere? The New York Times reports that just hours before the post, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick talked to Detroit billionaire Matthew Maroon, and then Lutnick called Trump. Besides owning a major trucking company, Maroon's family owns the Ambassador Bridge, which collects as much as $1 million a day in tolls. Blanchard says during the past 20 years in which the Gordie Howe Bridge has been in the works,
they spent all that time trying to hold this up for their own personal, private benefit.
An official of Maroon's company did not respond to the Times' request for comment. I'm Richard Johnson.
When we return on America in the Morning, nabbing international travelers over back child support payments. After these messages. Tragedy north of the border, where a shooting at a school in Canada's British Columbia left 8 dead, including a female whom police believe to be the shooter, while 2 more people were found dead at a nearby home. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police said more than 25 people are injured after the shooting at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. The town of Tumbler Ridge, which has a population of about 2,400 people, is 600 miles north of Vancouver. Canadian authorities have not released the names of any of the victims or the shooter, and the shooter's motive remained unclear. Police would not say how many of the dead were children or adults. The shooting at the small rural high school is the second deadliest school shooting in Canadian history, behind the massacre that left 14 dead in Montreal in 1989. More details about the Canadian school shooting are expected to be released by police later today. A shocking upset of the candidate expected to win a primary that included over a dozen contestants vying for the congressional seat once held by Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey is now complete. Lisa Dwyer reports that a challenger to a progressive New Jersey Democrat has conceded.
Former Congressman Tom Malinowski has conceded to Ana Lilia Mejia, a longtime progressive activist and former political director for Senator Bernie Sanders, in the crowded Democratic primary in New Jersey's U.S. House special election to fill the seat vacated by Mikey Sherrill after she stepped down to become governor. Sherrill represented the district for 4 terms after her 2018 election, which Sherrill won despite the region's historical loyalty to the Republican Party, a dynamic that began to shift during President Donald Trump's first term. While there are still some mail-in ballots to be counted, Mejia will face Republican Joe Hathaway in the special general election in New Jersey, April 16th. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The government is considering steps to force national travelers to catch up on their child support payments. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
No child support, no passport. Sources tell the Associated Press the Trump administration is planning to step up enforcement of a 30-year-old law that allows the federal government to revoke U.S. passports from parents who owe a significant amount of child support. The 1996 law was only invoked by the State Department when someone applied for a renewal or sought consular services, but has taken in nearly $621 million in support payments. Soon, the officials said, the State Department will begin to revoke passports on its own initiative, based on data shared with it by the Office of Child Support Enforcement at the Department of Health and Human Services. They plan to take a tiered approach, starting with those who are more than $100,000 past due, but the program could eventually reach thousands of households. In an emailed response to inquiries from the AP, the State Department says it is reviewing options to enforce long-standing law, and that deadbeat parents need to pay their child support arrears. Jennifer King, Washington.
Star Trek-level medical technology may soon be coming to a hospital near you. The new old tech guy, Chuck Palm, has the story.
Imagine a medical scan that gives doctors a vivid, full-color, 3-dimensional look inside the human body, showing not just the shape of your tissues, but how blood is flowing through your vessels in real time. This Star Trek level technology is real today, with no radiation like X-rays or CT scans and no long waits like an MRI. That is the promise of a breakthrough that's just detailed in the journal Nature Biomedical Engineering. Researchers at Caltech and the University of Southern California have developed a hybrid technique called RUS-PAT, short for rotational ultrasound tomography, combined with photoacoustic tomography. It merges traditional ultrasound, which maps out tissue structure using sound waves, with photoacoustics, where short laser pulses cause molecules in the body, especially the blood vessels, to heat up slightly and emit their own ultrasound signals, and those signals are captured to reveal details. The rotating ARCA detectors build large panoramic 3D images quickly, and scans take less than a minute and reach about 4 centimeters deep, making it ideal for areas like the head, extremities, even bedside monitoring. It's non-invasive and low cost compared to big MRI machines, and it's radiation-free, so it could be used more frequently without the risks. For more tech news, follow thenewOldTechGuy.com. I'm Chuck Palm.
Midweek Sports is in on America in the Morning. Here's our Robert Workman.
NBA Tuesday, Victor Wembanyama had 40 points, 37 before halftime, as the Spurs routed the Lakers 136-108. They led by as many as 41. LeBron James sat out for the 18th time this season for LA. That means he will be ineligible for the association awards. He had made the All-NBA team a record 21 consecutive times. Jalen Brunson scored 40 for New York, but the Pacers chased down the Knicks in overtime, 137-134. Rockets sank the Clippers 102-95, and the Suns handed the Mavericks their 8th straight loss, 120-111. College hoops, number 3, Houston won at Utah 66-52, 27 for Emmanuel Sharp. He hit 8 3-pointers and set the career school record from distance. 4th-ranked Duke defeated Pittsburgh 70-54, but a tough night for the rest of the top 10. 5th-ranked Iowa State was upset at TCU 62-55. 7th-ranked Nebraska battled back from down 22, but lost to number 13 Purdue 80-77 in overtime. And 8th-ranked Illinois fell in OT to Wisconsin. Number 11 North Carolina trailed wire to wire at Miami, but better news for number 12 Gonzaga, 15th-ranked Virginia, number 19 Vanderbilt, 21st-ranked Arkansas, and number 22 BYU. At the Winter Olympics in Italy, 5 medals for Team USA on Tuesday: silver in mixed doubles curling and in men's freestyle and cross-country skiing, plus bronze for the women's luge and alpine team combined skiing. The U.S. women also hammered Canada 5-0 in hockey to clinch their group on the way to the quarterfinals. Goalie Aaron Frankel.
To have, that win tonight, it just gives us all the confidence to keep things rolling moving into the medal rounds.
Norway surged ahead of host Italy to top the medal table with 12, including 6 gold. And the 68th Daytona 500 comes up on Sunday. Front row qualifying is tonight, followed by the duels on Thursday to set the rest of the field. That's Wednesday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, the pride flag comes down in Manhattan after these messages. America in the Morning continues. There's some outrage in New York City after the Trump administration takes down a rainbow flag at the Stonewall National Monument. Correspondent Julie Walker reports politicians in Manhattan plan to re-raise the pride flag if the federal government doesn't put it back at the site which sparked the gay rights movement.
The Trump administration no longer flying a rainbow flag at the Stonewall National Monument in New York City, angering activists who see the change as a symbolic swipe at the country's first national monument to LGBTQ+ history.
This is more than just about a flag. This is more than just about an action by the Trump administration. This is a wholesale attempt to erase the LGBTQ community's history. History which began here at the Stonewall Inn back in 1969.
Manhattan Borough President Brad Hoylman Siegel.
It's deeply troubling because, as I said, I'm a gay dad with 2 kids, and what are they supposed to think? That the President of the United States doesn't want their family represented in a national landmark?
The National Park Service says only U.S. flags, Department of Interior, and POW MIA flags can fly there. A rainbow flag still appears on a city-owned pole just outside the park, and similar ones wave along its fence. Julie Walker, New York.
There was controversy surrounding the NFL halftime show featuring Bad Bunny, but now questions about lip syncing are being raised about Kid Rock in the alternative show. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr has reaction.
For those who are not into Bad Bunny's performance on Sunday night at the Super Bowl, the conservative organization Turning Point USA aired their own halftime show headlined by Kid Rock. However, some viewers on the YouTube live feed noticed Kid Rock's movements did not match his singing of Bawa to Bawa. With the sound and video not lined up, many accused the artist of lip syncing. On Tuesday, Kid Rock posted a video on X explaining what happened.
We taped it, and then they sent me a first cut, and my comment was, the sync is off.
He acknowledged the performance was pre-recorded, but he did not lip sync.
I saw what it was doing. The mic's coming down, the sync was off. Because when we're rapping it, that song takes so much energy.
On Monday, Turning Point USA announced between 5 and 6 million viewers watched the show live, with 19 million more after its original broadcast. Kid Rock was a guest on Laura Ingram's show on Monday and discussed his opinion of Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show.
Like most people, I didn't understand any of it. I saw there's a lot of dancers and a lot of big to-do stuff, and he said he wanted to have a dance party. It looked like he had one.
To compare numbers, according to Nielsen, this year's halftime show peaked with 128.2 million viewers.
God bless America!
And since the Super Bowl, the YouTube video of Bad Bunny's performance has had more than 63 million views. That's the fourth highest halftime show behind Kendrick Lamar last year, Michael Jackson in 1993, and Usher in 2024. I'm Kevin Carr.
That's our show for today, Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. America in the Morning is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.